Love lives here.
Here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living and Center for Spiritual Living Worldwide, this year we are working with the theme of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. And this month we are focused on open to possibilities. So last month we talked about more the timeless wisdom piece. And this month we are looking at the evolutionary vision piece, specifically through the visioning process, and how that is informed by the timeless wisdom, because it is through the visioning process that we access the timeless wisdom of the ages. So I want to say good morning before we get any further. Good morning, Maria. I see that request. We will have Ed reach out to you a little bit later today. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Dinah. And Mom and Bob, too, good morning. Good morning to the rest of the Williams clan as well. Great to have you with us, joining us this morning. I need a sip. Hold on. All right. So today we are focusing on if we look at the questions of visioning, when we go into the visioning process, there are a series of questions that when we go in and we meditate and we get quiet and we get still and we become a vessel, we become a transparency, we open up to Spirit's highest idea. What we do is we anchor in, well, we center in oneness and we anchor in love, and then we begin our sacred inquiry, our sacred dialogue, our sacred conversation with Spirit, if you will, and that's the Spirit within. That is the divine within. It's not something that's outside of ourselves. It is the divine within. We begin our sacred inquiry with the question of, what is Spirit's highest idea for whatever it is that we're visioning for? So what is Spirit's highest idea of my life? So last week we focused on living in the question, what is Spirit's highest idea? And I gave you homework to work with that question all week long, and to be in that question, what is Spirit's highest idea for my life, for your life, right? Good morning, Allison. Good morning, Elizabeth. Great to see you as well. So that's what your homework was for this week. So then the second question that we frequently move to in visioning that helps clarify is, what must be released? What must we release? What must we let go of so that the vision itself may be fulfilled through us? What must we let go of so that we can bring ourselves into greater alignment with the vision? Remember that we are not trying to make the vision manifest. There is nothing that we need to do to make it manifest. Our work is in aligning ourselves with that which already is. God already is. The vision already is. Perfection already is. Love already is. Abundance already is. Wholeness already is. And it's our opportunity to align ourselves with that so that we can then experience more of that. So how do we go about aligning ourselves with that? One of the key ways is to release those things that are in our way. Release the obstacles that are in our way. Release those things that are holding us down. We talked about this. I introduced this idea, this concept, back in January when I asked you what rocks were in your pockets that were weighing you down. What was preventing you? What obstacles were in the way that you were willing to let go of then? And so I'm curious if since January till now, you've been slowly or quickly letting things go, setting things down, no longer carrying that baggage with you on the journey that no longer serves you on your journey. Michael Bernard Beckwith, who who discovered this powerful spiritual practice of visioning, said that spiritual growth, 100% of spiritual growth isn't about the letting go. It isn't about the releasing. It is, spiritual growth is not getting. It's not acquiring. Spiritual growth is not getting. It's about letting. What is it letting? Letting it go, letting stuff go, clearing the way to bring ourselves into greater alignment with that which already is. So that clearing away is a clearing away of any obstacles, any encumbrances, any limitations, whether they be beliefs or behaviors that impede our alignment with the vision. It could be habits. It could be stuff, literally stuff, right? Belongings. So you can KonMari your house, right? And organize your house and give things away and blessing it on its way when it's no longer useful. But it is about letting those things go. But it's also about letting the ideas, letting the beliefs, letting those things that have become habitual, that have become patterned, that have become behaviors that then keep us out of alignment with a higher idea for ourselves, with a higher idea for our lives. From the Buddhist perspective, attachment to anything is the root cause of suffering. Attachment to anything is the root cause of suffering. Whether it is an attachment to personal items, whether it is attachment to status, whether it is attachment to job or money or even our own personality or our own ego, that it is those attachments, it's attachment to something that causes suffering. Even the attachment to the idea of I, the little I, is at the cause of suffering. And the way to end suffering is through non-attachment, is by not being attached to those things. We'll get to there in a minute. That the end of suffering then too is also freedom. And what do we teach here at Centers for Spiritual Living is that the ultimate goal of life, the ultimate goal is freedom from discord of every nature, and that everyone is sure to achieve this goal. So if we approach our philosophy with this lens of Buddhism, then part of what it is that we are to, in order to experience the freedom from discord of every nature, we are invited to release any attachment to anything that is, well, to anything, right? To release all attachment. So Michael Bernard Beckwith explains or defines attachment as an exaggerated attraction to people, places, situations, environments, possessions, perceptions of how it might look. This includes justifications, rationalizations, and an inner armor or a defense mechanism. That these are all potential attachments that keep us from being in alignment with the high idea. And when we look at attachments from a visioning perspective, then frequently it is an attachment to a certain outcome. It is an attachment to a certain desire that then prevents us from being open to the high idea, to Spirit's highest idea of itself, expressing through and as our lives. It is that attachment to that preconception, that preconceived idea, the idea that I have, that I know what's best, that I know what's right and perfect, that I, little I, know exactly how things should be done. That I have a preconceived idea of either the how it should be done, or I have a preconceived idea of what something should look like. And so this preconceived idea then inhibits, because I've artificially limited what's possible. I'm no longer open to the possibilities. I've artificially limited what's possible because I'm only allowing that which, or I'm only willing to allow that which I've already thought of, or I've already come up with, or I already believe to be the truth, or I already believe to be the way. And so it is that attachment to that preconceived idea that is then preventing a greater idea or a greater possibility. Now, I would say not all attachments are bad things. Attachments are. Frequently, attachments can cause difficulty, but at the same time, when we look at it from a little bit slightly different perspective, I'm kind of attached to being able to drive on the street safely because everybody else is also following the rules, the traffic rules, that it's not all helter-skelter. I'm pretty attached to some of the order in our lives that perhaps keep us safe, physically safe or mentally safe or emotionally safe, psychologically safe. I'm attached to some of those structures that are designed for our public safety, our public health, for instance, right? That there are some attachments to these things, that it's not necessarily an exaggerated attachment or an exaggerated attraction, but that it is something that is useful and beneficial for the good of all. So attachment, we're invited to let these things go. We're invited to let go of things. And sometimes some attachments are, something to think about, that, this one I'll keep, this one's good, right? This one can be pretty good. Conversely, we have detachment. So detachment is a disengagement. It is a backing up. It is a withdrawal from. So you are detaching yourself from something. And this too has some safety measures involved. If it's a toxic relationship, or if it's a toxic work environment or abusive relationship, it might be wise for your safety on all levels to disengage from that relationship, or to remove yourself from a situation, or to leave a job, or to change something so that you are no longer engaging with something. So its detachment can also be a useful tool, but detachment can also look like, well, fine, I'm not getting my way, so I'm just going to take my goodies, I'm just going to take my toys, and I'm going to go home. I'm going to just, like, you know what, we're done here, I'm just going to leave now, right? So there's that, also that connotation of detachment, which is not necessarily so healthy, because really that sort of detachment is still an attachment. Because that detachment, that disengagement, is still about the attachment to, I want something to be a certain way, I believe something should be a certain way, I believe I should have certain things, or I believe life should work this way, or things should be this way. So detachment has benefit, attachment has benefit, detachment has benefit. Both attachment and detachment live solidly when we talk about the 4 stages of spiritual development. Detachment and attachment live solidly in the first 2 stages. The to me, the first stage is to me. Everything is happening to me. I live at the effect of whatever is going on in my life. And there may not be much I can do to change it, or I feel like there's not much I can do to change it, that my options for something different are very limited. And then we have the by me stage, which is the I create my reality, I create these situations. The options are, there are greater options to me, but the danger there is then I get attached to thinking that I of myself do everything, that I am attached to creating, and I'm not willing to release or surrender to the higher idea, because I'm so attached now to the idea that it is me, myself, and I that are creating, that are doing everything. And so non-attachment is a releasing, it's a letting go of clinging to those cherished desires, and cherished opinions and cherished beliefs and cherished behaviors, to our treasured wounds, if you will. It's a releasing and a releasing and letting go of those things that are also then the cause of unskillful habits or unskillful behaviors or compulsions, if you will. So it is non-attachment is a gentle letting go. It is not being attached to an outcome. So non-attachment lives in kingdoms or stages 3 and 4, which is about the through me. Spirit is happening through me, and spirit is happening as me. I'm experiencing life as spirit, and I'm experiencing life having spirit move through me. And the reason why this is because 3 and 4, it's about self-love. It is also about the interconnectedness so that we understand our oneness. And if we also understand that God is all there is, then I can relax into that, I can rest into that, and I don't need to be attached to an outcome because I can open to the higher possibility of Spirit's idea for my life rather than my own personal idea for my life. I can open up and I can trust and know that Spirit maintains and sustains its beloved creation, that Spirit is breathing me, that the very breath that I breathe, it's not me, Jeffrey, breathing, but it is actually Spirit that is breathing me, Jeff. It is actually divine love that is expressing itself through and as me. Well, if I recognize that one with the divine, one with God is a majority, then why then would I need to be attached to something, attached to an outcome, or why then would I need to be detached from something? I can sit in this place of non-attachment, of simply allowing and trusting and knowing that things are unfolding in divine right order, in grace and ease, and in absolute perfection. Now, I'm not saying that we can only practice non-attachment, because as we know, those stages of spiritual development, we as human beings move in and out of those stages of spiritual development. And I've often teased about moving in and out of them, like just, go to a Costco parking lot and see, which stage of spiritual development you're operating in, right? Or, it's just like all of a sudden, right? That maybe we're back into stage 1 of like, this is happening to me. And, I think people ought to be this way. And I think they should do this like this. And why are they doing it that way? And, come on, people, you're so silly, right? That we get back into that. So it's not that it's always, unicorns and ponies and, cupcakes, right? That it is a fluid thing, but we can move our center of gravity by consciously practicing non-attachment, by consciously practicing non-attachment, by consciously practicing the release and the let go, releasing those things that no longer serve. By doing that, we create this openness, we create this spaciousness within us. It's like washing the window, like if you got a dirty window, right? And you wash the window, and then all of a sudden the sunlight comes streaming in much brighter than what it did when it was dirty. Or if you think of having a garden hose and you've kinked a garden hose, and the flow of water is blocked because the garden hose is kinked. But when you unkink the hose, then the flow happens much easier. So when we unkink the hose in consciousness, when we release that kink, when we wash away the dirt and grime on the window, then Spirit itself, which is already there, always there, rushes right in and fills the space that we've created. It fills the space that as we've let go of these things that have been in our way, these things that we've been holding on to so tight, these precious treasured things that we've been holding on to with a death grip, when we release that, Spirit moves right in and fills the space that that thing used to occupy. Love rushes in and fills that space. Joy rushes in and fills that space. Abundance, prosperity rushes in and fills that space. Peace rushes in and fills that space that was previously occupied by something that was taking up the space and the spaciousness. So it is in that 100% of our spiritual growth is in letting go. That it is in the letting go of those things that no longer serve. It is letting go of the ideas that no longer serve. It is letting go of the preconceptions, the beliefs, the behaviors, letting all of that go, letting our attachment to all of that go. And even being detached, like I said, is still an attachment. So letting all of that go and being non-attached actually brings us closer and brings us in greater alignment with the divine, from which we are always infinitely inseparable. Being non-attached to outcome, being non-attached to preconceived ideas, opens us to a greater possibility and a greater experience of the divine. Practicing non-attachment brings us closer in the experience of what already is. So I invite you to breathe in for a moment and close your eyes for just a moment. Last week, we worked with the question of what is Spirit's highest idea for my life? So this week, I invite you to work with the question. Just breathe in for a moment. Anchor in love. And simply ask Spirit, remember, dog is God spelled backwards. So simply ask Spirit, today, what am I to release? Or what am I to let go of? What belief has been limiting me? What behavior has been keeping me from my good? Simply ask, what must I release? What must I let go of? And whatever comes to you, just simply allow it. Don't judge it. Don't try to make it right. Don't try to make it wrong. That too is an attachment. Just simply be open. Open to the divine guidance, the divine wisdom that is right within you. What must I release? What must I let go of? And I invite you, if you are comfortable, sharing that in the comments. What are you letting go of today? What are you releasing today? So I'll let you go ahead and type those in. So this is your homework for the week, is to be present with what it is that you're being called to let go of. And this is where the action of visioning takes place. The action and the activity of visioning takes place right here. There is the opportunity to let go. That is the action. So this may look like, I need to let go of blame or shame or judgment So what might be a tool that I could use to do that? A tool that I could use to let go of those things might be forgiveness. I need to let go of, I need to let go of a belief in lack, a belief in limitation. So perhaps a spiritual practice that you could work with for that would be gratitude. Counting your blessings. So the moment we express gratitude, what we express gratitude for multiplies. That it refocuses our attention on that which we already have, the abundance that already is. So I see some things coming in here, letting go of the old idea that I'm not enough, fear and doubt that Bob will be healed, thoughts that things are not okay as they are right now, judgment of others. Yes. And so by looking at the idea of not enough, right? We are God's beloved in whom God is well pleased. We are the divine made manifest. How could we ever be anything but enough, more than enough, that our self-worth, our self-value, we have dominion. So that's the practice the angle that we go, and that is the practice that we begin to incorporate as we bring that into treatment and affirm a series of affirmations, perhaps, of enoughness and understanding that right where I am, God is. And if things are not okay, right, as Reverend Lee used to say, if things aren't, everything will be okay in the end. And if things aren't okay, it's not the end, right? So then we understand that one with God is a majority. So how could anything be against me? If God is with me, how could anything be against me? Right? Judgment, again, as I mentioned, is forgiveness. A lot of the work there is around forgiveness. Self-doubt, thoughts of not being enough. Yes, we just talked about that. Letting go of control. Ooh, that's a big one, right? Letting go of control. Feeling that we need to control. So that's a practice of surrendering. And so that's just simply allowing. Maybe it's just allowing somebody to do something for you and receive it, or just allowing something to be as it is without having to try and change it or fix it. Just simply bear witness to it. Maybe the practice there of letting go of control is embracing curiosity and being curious about something rather than trying to change something or fix something or control it, but just be curious about it. How did it get to be this way? What is the gift here? Controlling. Yes, the shoulds. Shoulds. Yes, Russ, absolutely. And that's what I was saying too, right? That sometimes attachment and to detachment is a response to trauma. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. That the detachment definitely has a place. And I would say in this case of trauma, for sure, detachment definitely has its place. But if we get stuck in that, then that's where we aren't moving forward as much. We aren't moving forward as easily as what we could. Marty wants to give up having to be perfect. Right? And that's the outside world looking in. And again, that having to be perfect, or the perception of having to be perfect, is about judgment, right? And so it's a letting go. It's a self-letting go, or it's a forgiveness. It's rooted in forgiveness work. Beautiful. Thank you, my beloveds, for being so willing to share that which you are willing to let go, that which you are willing to release. And I would invite you to work with these things this week, and as you do, the shoulds too. Yeah, that's a forgiveness one too. As you're working with these this week, I invite you to be gentle with yourself. I invite you to love and just be gentle as you're moving through this, and open to the possibility. open to the possibility of freedom, open to the possibility of experiencing love, of experiencing joy, of experiencing peace. Just open yourself to the possibility that awaits you on the other side of release. And so let's come together in consciousness, recognizing here and now that there just is the one power, the one presence, the one love that is all of creation, all of life. It simply is the one, the only. It is all that there is. And it is infinite and expanding and eternal, and it is forever expressing itself through itself as itself in all of creation and all of life. It is forever expressing love. It is forever expressing joy. It is forever expressing peace and harmony and order, because that is the very nature of its being. It is all of that and more. And yes, a bag of chips too, if you want. And it is right where I am. It is the very who of who I am, that I am inseparable from this one. I am inseparable from love. I am inseparable from joy. I am inseparable from peace and harmony and grace, because that is the very nature of who I am, because God is all there is, Spirit is all there is, and if Spirit is all there is, then that is who and what I have to be as well. There is nothing for God to, no other thing that God could make creation from other than itself. Therefore, every living being, every person, every animal, every plant, the entire universe itself is the divine manifest body of the one life of God itself. Therefore, I know that this is the truth of who I am. And as I know it's the truth of who I am, I know it is the truth of who each one present here is. And so I speak my word for this beloved community, recognizing that we are open to possibilities, that we are willing to release and let go of those things that no longer serve us, that have been keeping us held down, that have been keeping us small, that have been keeping us from living our fullest potential. We embolden people to live their highest potential through that transformative power of love. And it is this transformative power of love that I call upon now, recognizing that each person within the sound of my voice, each person who ever sees this, hears it, and even those beyond, recognizing that each one has the capability and the ability to live their highest potential. Because that is the God-given right. That is the dominion. That is our divine inheritance, to live a life of freedom, to live a life of joy, to live a life of love. And so I let go of all of the things that stand in the way, that we have put in the way, that our limited thinking, our limitations, our false beliefs in lack, our false belief in limitation, our false belief in not enoughness, our false belief in otherness. We simply set them down now, and we are free. We are free from them. We are free. We are free from attachment. We are free from smallness and limited and lack. We are free. And we soar. We fly, like the song was talking about earlier. We fly high because we let go. Oh, I gotta let go. And so I give thanks. I give thanks in this moment, knowing that all is truly well, recognizing the oneness that is, recognizing the love that is, thankful for our alignment with it, thankful for our conscious union with it and as it. And so I release this word now into the law, knowing it is done. I release and I let go. I let Spirit run my life. My heart is open wide, because I'm only here for God. And so it is. Amen.
Love